Hey everybody, welcome to Making It. This is episode 128. I'm Bob Clagett. I'm about to fall asleep, and I'm here with David Picciuto.
You should have got something to drink.
I should have gotten something to drink.
I only say that because right before we hit record, Bob's like, I should have got something to drink. And I'm drinking a really tasty Zevia right here.
Oh, those are good.
Mm-hmm. Well, we also have Jimmy Diresta.
Hello. I had a good sleep last night, so I'm feeling all right.
Oh, well, good for you. Isn't that special? I did not. I'm exhausted. I've been staying up way too late every single night, working really hard all day. So, yeah.
Is it paying off?
It's paying off. Yeah, I've been working on the house. Stuff looks really good. But, you know, it's like one of those things that's just not sustainable. Like, I can't stay up till 2:30 every single night and get up at 7:30, 8 every morning, and it's just wearing me out. So,
how is the interior design going between you and your wife? Are you guys agreeing on colors and selections and stuff?
Yeah. So here's what happened. So
there's always a story.
Well, there's a story. It's like a 9-year ago story. So when we moved into our last house 9 years ago, we tried to pick paint colors together, and we get along really well. But it was one of those things where we go pick a paint color, and we're thinking opposite things. And when we talk about color, we talk about them using different adjectives. I'm looking at it from like the art school color theory perspective. She's using like Pinterest words and descriptions. You know what I mean? They're just two different languages. And man, it caused so much trouble. And it got to the point to where I said, look, you know what I like, what I don't like. I just ask you to be considerate, but colors are now your thing. You get to do it all.
I had the same situation with Taylor. It's like every color she picks, she's like, what do you say? I say, this color. And she says the exact opposite color on the spectrum. Every single time. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what? My relationship with you is more important than what color the walls are. You pick the color, and please don't even ask me what the color is. Don't show me chips. Don't show me comparisons. All I know is I don't want the house to be black on the outside. That's it.
Yeah.
We don't have any of that as far as like colors and furniture and everything. I think we're on the same exact page. We like the same things. Where we differ is the shoes on, shoes off, house rule, things like that. And
shoes on. I pay for this house. I want my shoes on. I don't care.
Oh, that's my argument.
I pay the mortgage. I can sweep the floor later.
Well, we both pay for all that stuff, and we just paid $700 and some for Stanley Steamer and come and do the entire house. And I'm sorry, Kelly listens to this, so we'll see how well our marriage is after she listens to this episode. I love you very much. But she's winning we have a no shoes in the house rule. I've never lived by that rule. I've even tried to do the whole like, what if I pay Stanley Steamer to come here every 6 months? And no. So I now own indoor shoes and outdoor shoes.
Oh, Taylor tries to get me to wear inside shoes all the time. She puts them on me when I'm sleeping, so I wake up and like I'm not wearing slippers now. It's not amazing. It's not as bad in the summer, I'll have to admit, because she buys me like slip-ons and stuff. And in the summer, I like to go basically barefoot or Vans. But in the winter and the spring, the fall and the winter, it's a pain in the butt to slip on boots and put them on. To come inside for 5 minutes to do something and run back outside. I just throw towels down.
You should get some booties, those little wraps that you put around your boots. So when you walk in, you just wrap them up.
We've been through all this, honestly. It's the shoes on, shoes off thing is that could lead to divorce, I think.
That's funny. We don't have that type of stuff at all. Like, I don't know. We just don't have that kind of conflict. But the color thing was a big issue for a while. And it was, like you said, Jimmy, is like one of the best things where I decided I don't care about color as much as I care about her. So that's just not something I want to fight for.
Yeah.
And it's worked out really well. And I'm happy with the choices that she makes.
So you like that polka dot purple wall behind your head?
It
looks
wonderful.
good. It looks good.
Can you see the distress on my face?
The zebra stripes.
Bob wrote "help me" on his forehead.
Yeah. No, but it's actually going really well. Like we kind of had that with that same conversation with flooring, because picking out hardwood floor is a very expensive thing. It's like you're investing a lot of money in whatever you're going to put down, and I think we were on the same page about it, but it was still just a big process. I mean, there's like so many types of flooring. There's so many different colors. There's
Daunting
so many
to look
different
at everything.
vendors. Man, and yeah, you gotta look at all of them to make sure you get the right stuff. And anyway, so we went through all that, but what we decided on, we both love it. It looks amazing. We bought a whole lot of it.
So. 3 pallets of it looked like.
3 pallets, yes, a whole lot. But yeah, so the house is going great, but that's like all I've been doing nonstop, you know. I mean, sun up to sundown and way past sundown. So that's what I've been into. What about you guys?
Today, Eric and I, we tore down all the drywall in the new shop garage and took out all the old insulation. And that was quite a workout. I posted a photo on Twitter and somebody's like, you don't have a garbage bin. Now you have to do that all over again to throw it into a bin. And it would have been very nice to throw everything into a bin, but right now it's in the middle of the garage. We have other things where we're tearing out carpets in a couple rooms in a couple weeks, and we just basically don't want a bin in our driveway for 2 weeks. So, but all the walls are down, so it's just bare studs. And my electric guy, he's kind of come over and gonna redo all the electric, and then we gonna kind of build a new attic in there. And I don't know, it's the hardest part of any project is getting started, and I finally got started today. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, question about the electric. Like, do you have specific plans for how you're running
Yes.
that, or are you just kind of electrifying things in general?
No. So, I mean, there's electric in there now, which probably would have worked okay. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to put breaker box in the garage just for the garage. And we're going to do the quad units on the wall. So it's got the 4 outlets. And the left side is going to go to one circuit breaker. The right side is going to go to another circuit breaker. That way, dust collection and a machine can be plugged into the same quad, but not worry about flipping the circuits and stuff. And we're just going to do more of them, and they're going to be better placed throughout the garage. And then there's going to be a half wall down the middle, and we need to carve a channel into the concrete floor and run wires into there so we can wire up the half wall that we're doing. So. And we got my buddy seems to have a good head on his shoulders and knows what he's doing, and says we can do it upright. So.
So you said half wall down the middle. Mm-hmm. Is that a new development?
It's something I've been wanting to do. I don't think I mentioned it in the previous podcast. Basically, it's going to be like a counter that runs down the middle for my table saw to go up against, and a couple other tools that kind of work better against the wall. And I can have power there and use that as another little storage thing too.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So just the thickness of a normal wall, or is it going to be thicker?
Probably just a little bit thicker if I want to use it for storage.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Jimmy, what have you been up to?
Well, I have house guests this week. I have a couple of guests finally arrived. I have Laura and Jocko here. And so today we're just hanging out in the shop. They're going to hang out this week. We're going to build a teepee on the property this week. We've been collecting teepee poles out of the woods for the last couple of years. And Taylor said, wouldn't it be nice if we threw a little teepee party? So that's happening this week. Today is Friday.
Little teepee party.
And
That's so adorable.
We invited, well, I always talk to Jocko, so I just mentioned it to him. I said, will you be in New York? And he goes, I will be if you're going to do that. And so Jocko and Laura came to New York a couple days early, and they just got up here last night. Taylor was in the city and drove back with them. And so doing that, getting the shop in order, working on my Rockler video. Posted a couple videos last week. I have another one ready to probably post today, which is, I think today's Tuesday, right? And yeah, so just this has been like the longest stretch I've been upstate away from the city. Obviously, my city shop is completely closed, which, by the way, Jocko and Laura broke into it. I told them the combination to the lock because he sent me pictures. They spent a couple of days in the city, so they sent me pictures from the gate, just kind of goofing off. I told him the combination, and he goes, "No, I'm not going to go in." And then the next day, which I think might have been like Monday, I don't know. He sent pictures from inside the shop, and they were poking around, and I left like stuff hot glued to some of the doors and stuff, and they peeled off some of the memorabilia of my stuff. So it was cute.
Funny.
And
that's a great idea. Like, come into a different country where you're not a citizen, and then break into something.
Yeah.
Great choice, Jocko.
Well, the place is sitting unused. They have no plans for it. They just really wanted me out of there for this like technical legal reasons with the building, because it was never really a CO in there, certificate of occupancy. And so before they got in big trouble, they encouraged me to leave early. Anyway, so now that I'm out, I'm upstate full time, and I have to go back to the city tomorrow morning for a quick meeting, but I'm up here, and I spend all my time at the shop. I work late, I grind, I make noise, I spray paint. We made 150 ice picks in the last few days, and man, it is so nice to not have neighbors and to not have anybody stressing. And like I still have like that little like voice inside me say, "Don't make any noise after 9 o'clock." And I'm looking around, I'm like, "Oh wait, I don't have to worry about that." So it is a nice transition, and I'm looking forward to doing more fun, bigger projects. And I just committed to doing this kind of big prop project. I'm going to be making a couple of props for a Soho pop-up shop for my friend who owns a bag company. You guys are familiar with Spray Ground, the backpacks that the kids wear all the time? The guy that owns that company is a former student of mine. His name is David, and David really hit it big. And he's doing a pop-up shop, and he wants me to make some props for the pop-up shop. So I'm going to start working on that in the next couple of weeks. And so it's things are good. It's just the hustle, but the hustle up here is a lot more relaxed. It's like I keep telling Taylor, I feel like I'm like the anxiety of needing to go back to the city is kind of still there's like residue of that, but it's not rational because I don't need to go back to the city.
Right.
And we finally auctioned off my father's house yesterday, and so that is one less property I have to take care of and manage, and it's one more stress off of me. And so now the next big thing I need to remove from my life is we need to get our other house up on the market and sell that. And I just feel like after I do those two things, I can get back to doing 2 videos a week and get back into my normal routine and just enjoy the new house and the property and everything.
Well, I keep faith alive I'm still working on my new barn in the backyard and stuff. And there's a long-term plan. Like I just keep chipping away at all the different parts of the long-term plan, and things begin to fall into place, So if things aren't happening as fast as you think, as long as you just keep chipping away at that long-term goal.
Yeah.
Slowly you start putting them behind you. And
I mean, you guys probably don't watch kids' movies as often as I do, so it's understandable. But in Finding Nemo, one of the fish just says,
watched it.
Just keep swimming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So, just keep moving forward.
It's a great movie. I watched it. It's awesome.
Before we get into what we're talking about, which I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I want to thank our Patreon supporters. We had a lot of new supporters this week, and I think there's a reason. And now we get to tell people about it, which we didn't last week. So we got some new supporters, but I especially want to thank Make, Build, Modify, Malt and Make, Corey Ward, Evan and Caitlin, Jedediah Schultz, and Wise Old Dow. Look at that. That's a lot more names than we normally say.
Yeah.
And the reason I think we got some new ones is because we started putting up, last week was the first week, an after show, and it's Patreon exclusive. So it's a separate audio file that we'll upload to Patreon directly, and it's just whatever we talk about, hanging out for a little bit, 15, 20 minutes or whatever after we finish recording. So it's going to be something different every time, but it's a little extra content as a way to say thank you for those people who support us.
Yes.
So if you are interested in hearing us talk even more, then go to patreon.com/makingit and give us some support there. That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Also, to that, we have a subreddit, and it's at, what's the address? I should know this.
/r.
Making It Podcast. Yeah. makingitpodcast.reddit.com or reddit.com/r/makingitpodcast. They should both work. But we have been posting there. There's some posts there is a post for every episode that goes up automatically, so you can talk about it and ask questions about it, whatever there. And one of the posts that we put up was ideas for show topics. And so there are a bunch of show topics there, and we'll continue to look through them. So if you have ideas for topics, just drop them in that thread. But I think we're going to start there with some ideas to talk about. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah. And quickly, even if you don't have a topic idea, but if you like somebody else's, vote it up. Let us know.
That's a good call. Yeah, that would actually make it a lot easier to get through if we just look at the upvoted ones. Yep. And there's all sorts of cool conversations happening on the subreddit that I wasn't aware of until I looked at it today. There's people showing off some stuff that they're working on and asking questions and going back in previous episodes and what's the store that so-and-so mentioned in this episode, stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, so go check it out. And we're going to start with some questions from Evan and Caitlin, who are mods over there on our subreddit. They're awesome.
They also did the artwork.
Yes. It's super cool.
Yes.
So the first one they put up on here, well, the first one we're going to do, is when you're making things for content, do you really finish them to where you want? Are you proud of them, or do you want to have more time to put into them? How do you balance good enough versus more content?
Well,
anybody have an initial reaction to that?
Well, I know from my TV experience, good enough was probably the motto of the day. When people ask me, hey, do you have any contacts so that I can get my house done on this old house or flip this house or one of those shows? I mean, I used to obviously have more connection to that world. I don't now. But I always say, do not do that, because those hit and run TV shows are all about good enough. If it looks good enough on camera, it's good enough. So good enough is definitely the motto for TV. For YouTube, occasionally I do a good enough, and my most recent good enough really got me a lot of thumbs downs, and that was my Vice stand. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. My Vice stand is it garnishes a lot of oh my God, they think my brain, I've been lobotomized. They're like, I can't believe it. You used to make good stuff, now you made this. It's but somebody wrote me this whole thing I really appreciate what you've done in the past, but now you've changed. I was like, this is just one of 500 videos I made. It's not so precious. Mm-hmm. Just one thing. I mean, if I make 7 of these in a row, then your comment has some validity to it. Here is just one cool thing. It's made out of steel. It's meant to be hammered and pushed and banged around, and that's exactly what the life it's living right now. So, depends on what it is, I'm working on I'm doing some woodwork for my Rockwell video, which is this kind of shaker cabinet, lower base cabinet with some thin shallow shelves that go above it. And there is certainly that, I want to get it done, but I want to get it done so it looks good and feels right, because it's going to be in my house. Which is funny, because right in the front of the porch, and I'm going to just probably throw it away or burn it, I made this hole tree when I worked on HGTV. It had it in the hole here. And Taylor hates it, and she's rightfully so. She hates it because the legs are made out of 2x4s. It's made up out of bent plywood, and I remember hot gluing a lot of it together because it was a YouTube extra, or it was a web exclusive for one of the HGTV shows I did. And I totally knocked this thing together while everybody was staring at their watch, waiting to leave at the end of the day. We shot all day long, and then a skeleton crew hung out to shoot me make this thing for an hour long. And I still have it. It's 10 years old. And every time Taylor sees it, she's like, can we just put this on the street? So that's a good enough. And, like I said, I'm going through right now making this Rockwell thing. I'm making it all out of hardwood. And I want it to be sort of a longer lasting fixture in the house. So, But it is taking the video a long time to finish. So I don't have a solid deadline, so that's why I'm able to take that time.
For me, many times on some projects, I don't apply the finish that I absolutely want to put on there. The finish that I want to apply takes 5 days, and I don't have time for that. So it usually gets a coat of oil and then maybe a coat of spray lacquer or whatever. But I want to do the poly oil blend, and I just can't do that in video. And sometimes I'll just say, I'll finishing this at a later time. And then there are plenty of times where we need to move along, and so we will unclamp a glue up maybe sooner than what it should be. And most of the time, 98% of the time, it's just fine. Glue dries pretty darn fast.
Yeah, I agree. I did the same thing. Because you got to use the same clamps and something else.
Yeah. but once in a while we'll see it come apart, and we have to fix that, or we will just not show a certain angle, and camera does not show all the details as your eyeballs. So if you see something in person and you're picking something up and you're touching it, you're going to see every little detail. The camera doesn't show off all those little details, so it's easier to get away with some of those things.
Yeah, for sure. I wrestle with this quite a bit, actually. Not because I really care so much about the finish, because I kind of don't. Like, a lot of times, like, my good enough is not, I don't know how to say that. It's not like a thing that I fall back on. I generally, when I'm making things, like, good enough is good enough. Like, I'm not making fine furniture. I'm not making, like, fancy whatever. I'm brainstorming, usually, and kind of prototyping. And I look at most of the things I make in that way to where they don't necessarily have to be that finished, and they probably still do the job that they need to do. So from that perspective, good enough is fine for me, and I don't necessarily feel like I'm shortchanging it because my goal is not a super finished thing. But the thing that I have a hard time with it is just trying to keep up a really heavy schedule, doing all the stuff that all of us do every week. And I've been trying to do 2 videos a week for a while, trying to do some bigger projects so I have stuff going on in the background and something short term that I'm doing in the foreground. And because of that, I feel like I'm bouncing around so much that I'm not actually thinking through each one of the projects ahead of time as much as I should. It's like, okay, today I got to make this thing. I just got to go start making it. And then I made it. And then I'm like, if I had given that like 2 hours of thought, it would have been better in the end. So I guess this applies to me a little bit more before the fact than after the fact in the finishing stage. But yeah, I mean, just trying to keep a pace like that is tough, and there's got to be a trade-off somewhere. So either the content can drop, the how often the content comes out can drop, or certain things about the project or the content falls back. And for me, at least for now, the pace is the most important thing. I guess a part of that is because the purpose of so if I make a video about a piece of furniture or something, it's not necessarily that I want to teach people how to make that piece of furniture. It's that I want people to see that making a piece of furniture is not really that hard. And you can make anything more finished than the guy before you. Yeah. I mean, like, anything can get an extra coat of lacquer or an extra coat of this or a little bit more, higher grit sandpaper, whatever. You can always do that. But I don't have to do that to show somebody else that they can make a piece of furniture or make a whatever. So it's not a big priority in that sake for me. But, other people who are like maybe trying to show fine furniture or showing a finishing process as, here's the thing I'm teaching you how to finish stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should probably go all the way with that. Yeah. I would expect.
Yeah, I think I have a very specific example. So the hot dog table, making a whole shaker table with inlay in one day is a really hard thing. So we really rushed it, but it was well planned. And I think we did a very good job. But some of the inlay kind of cracked because you're working with small pieces of wood. And instead of fixing it, instead of cutting in another piece and filling in the parts that were broke, we're just like, you know what? We're not going to show a close-up of that. If we do, we'll show a photo, and I'll fix it in Photoshop. So like the content for me is more important than the finished piece, because I got to keep the hot dog table. I wasn't making it for somebody else. The people get the video. They don't get the table. So I want to make sure that they get the video when they expect it and in the way that they expect it.
Yeah, your product is content, like me. So that's the thing that we care about the most.
That's a really good point. It's like, what's more important? Is it the video, the concept of the video, and what it's going to teach or inspire, or the product? And obviously, I live a life mix of both, because sometimes I'm making a real client product that has to work. It has to be strong enough. It has to stand up to a finish. It has to stand up to somebody's scrutiny. And sometimes I'm just making a treasure chest made out of plasma cut metal and scrap wood, and then that's kind of like my old make videos where I just slap them together really quickly. And, some of those videos are the most popular ones I've ever made, where I just totally slap something together spontaneously just to inspire somebody to make one themselves. And then in time, I searched YouTube or searched the internet, and somebody's done like a CGI of it. When I just slapped it together and made it up on my own, and somebody's reverse engineered it, and it's available on like GrabCAD or something. That's the coolest thing, because those little spur of the moments, like those little impulses, then kind of set off a whole bunch of, oh man, that was the one video that really changed things for me. And to me, because we're constantly trying to come up with stuff and constantly trying to hit, doubles, triples, and grand slams and home runs, we try and hit. It's funny because sometimes you say, you know what, I have time, I want to hit a double, I want to hit a triple, metaphorically speaking. And sometimes when I do my longer term projects, like a knife in the cane, or I'm like doing like a knife cut build or something, and I know I'm going to get scrutinized, so I take the extra step to do things the seemingly correct way as far as I could see it. And those are the videos that'll kind of be on the back burner, and I'll do a couple of the quickies in between while I'm still working on that in the back. So the idea of having to literally layer videos sequentially in your life can put a lot of stress on you. So you could certainly do a couple of longer term builds and just have them brewing in the background. And those are the ones where you see me with a beard, no beard, long hair, short hair, shorts, then full on winter gear. There's a couple of those.
I've always been surprised that nobody's counted how many different T-shirts I have in a video, because
no one notices.
There's got to be at least 20 shirts in the single video.
Nobody knows. No one cares or notices.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, there's certain projects that I've done that I've been more personally invested in the final thing. Like the Stormtrooper helmet is one that I think of, the Shore Trooper helmet. That was something I desperately wanted to do the right way. And I learned how to model in Fusion so that I could model it the right way. I learned how to do all the different finishing steps so I could get it as close to as good. There was no good enough there. That was I want this to be as good as I can possibly make it. And it took a really long time, while doing other stuff too. But I think a lot of times that just, for me anyway, it depends on how much I actually care about the purpose of the project. In that case, it was a showpiece. That was the only purpose of it. But most of the other stuff I do is more functional, and I care more about the function over the form. But I guess it has to do with that, and then for a lot of people, it has to do with the intention of why you're doing the project in the first place. Whether you're showing off a prototype or finishing or whatever. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
Let's see. You guys got anything else on that?
Well, I was just saying, just to get back to if anybody's ever been involved or knows somebody that's been involved in a TV show build at their home, it's nothing but nightmare stories. Because whoever the celebrity carpenter is will come in for the camera stuff, and then they always bite off more than they can chew, and they have 10 PAs doing everything off the camera overnight, and they never hire the qualified people because they're always trying to save money. So don't ever do that. That's my advice. Don't ever. You see it looks good, it looks slick and clean and fun, but the reality, the nitty gritty, when you're really on site to see the stuff, it's never good.
So there's another one here, also by Evan and Caitlin. And this is kind of interesting. I'm not really sure what the answers will be here, but it's, what rules do you wish you could break more when it comes to making? Which I don't think any of us have any qualms about breaking those rules. But what new things do you want to try but can't due to outside factors or expectations?
I wish I could make fun of my audience more. And I wish more people understood that as comedy and not me putting them down. There's so many things that I want to say or get cut because I'm like, I think I pushed that a little too far. Because the point of our videos is just to inspire and have fun and crack jokes and yeah, there are definitely things I wish I could say more without getting shot back at, I guess.
Can you give us a family-friendly example? Or are there none?
I can't think of anything offhand. I wish Eric was right here. He has a better memory than me. But I don't know. I just wish... Yeah, that's it. I just wish I could make fun of the audience more. In a playful, fun way. Yeah.
Huh.
I love...
I wonder if there's a way to do that.
I have an idea.
It's when I call out the trolls. I love calling out the trolls in the video, and then people that will comment and are like, when you comment about the trolls, they just troll you more. I'm like, yeah, we're having a fun. We're having a troll off. Yeah,
troll off.
Troll off.
You could role play. Remember Dave Welder and I, we only did one video like that, and everyone thinks we've done it all the time. We did one video where Dave was the troll from behind the camera, like yelling at the comments.
Yeah.
And then I have this plan. They never did it. My friend's daughter has got a very witty like delivery. And so I said, you know what? We're going to do a video. And we never got to it. Maybe I'll do it one day. I said, I'm going to do a video. Me and Dave are going to write out all the troll comments. And we're going to have this girl say them all. So like while I'm working, I'll be working and you'll hear we're just going to pre-record her say it, but we're going to like insert them in the edit off camera. And it'll be like, yeah, but that's not how you hold the hammer. So like the troll is being minimized even more because it's this little girl's voice. So, that's something we'll still do one of these days. Just mocking the trolls. And, so that is a way of making fun of the audience. You guys could role play the trolls.
I wish I could do more digital fabrication videos too. And if I put out a laser cut video or CNC video, it's half the views. And that's okay. But a lot of times my videos, the point isn't about the tools. Like I said earlier, it's about inspiration, having fun. Maybe you can be inspired and find a creative way to get around the limitations that you have. And I would do more of them if I was a little bit more secure financially. But I depend on views. And my whole livelihood depends on views, so I don't do them. And I would definitely do weirder, more wild, non-woodworking projects, more art-based projects, but I know instantly it's going to get half the views. But I'm still going to do them every once in a while. You're just not going to see them back to back. Because what's most important to me is that I'm making the content that I want to make and that I enjoy, so I can keep doing it. And so I'll still throw those in there. I just won't do them back to back.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Like doing more digital fab stuff would be fun because I think I've subconsciously come to avoid that stuff unless it's the only way to do, whatever the thing is I'm thinking of. Because I know that, it's not something everybody has access to, and that frustrates some people, and I that's understandable. But it also makes it so that I second guess a lot of the things that I may do if that weren't a consideration. If I just. So it's one of those things that, some people don't have a CNC. I get it. Some people also don't have a circular saw, right? But so at what point do you like back off, to the lowest common denominator of tools to make sure that everybody's happy with what you're using to make your projects?
Not everybody has hands either, so.
That's a good point.
So you got to make.
That's a good point.
So next time I'm gonna hold something in my mouth just to make sure.
You do sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
Sometimes I hold my camera in my mouth.
I don't know. I can't think of anything that any rules I wish I could break when it comes to making. I mean, I think most of the things that I would say in response to that question are really about the feedback. They're about like, well, I wish I would just do this more if people wouldn't throw a fit about it. I would use CA glue for everything if people wouldn't throw a fit about it. I would use pocket holes because they're fast and easy. I would use them for everything, but I would use them more if I didn't have to listen to people talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I think most of my answers there would be that type of thing, not necessarily like I'm breaking a rule or anything.
And somebody's going to comment and say, well, just ignore that. But sometimes it's easy to ignore it, and sometimes it's really hard to ignore it because they just stick with you. Those comments stick with you.
Yeah. Some people are just plain mean. You want to that's why I just delete them.
Well, that's true. I mean, some of those things stick with you. A lot of them are valid, though. I mean, I'm not trying to be dismissive of people's responses to things. But, it's like I've heard let's take pocket holes because it's such a universal, conversation. I've heard every response. I've heard everything. I've gotten all of the links from so-and-so making a video about how bad pocket holes are. I've got, I know. I got it. I'm still going to use them. You know what I mean? So it'd be nice to just have like every time I use them to be like, guys, I got it. You don't have to say anything.
It's really unfortunate that all those projects you made are just falling apart.
I know, right? There's just piles of wood everywhere. Yeah. All the things I made just fell right apart because they don't work.
Blink, blink, blink. This is the joints popping.
Oh, there goes another one.
Yeah.
Bob, your end table just fell over in the background.
Yeah, the whole house is made with pocket holes and it's falling.
The polka dot end table just fell over.
I mean, I think I would do probably some more 3D printing stuff. I would definitely do more prop stuff if the response wasn't negative, kind of in the same way that you were saying. You know, people just, I think, don't expect so much of that from me. So if I focus too hard on, let me start over. I think I shot myself in the foot in one way, and I made it easy for myself in the other way. By having a varied type of project, I can pretty much get away with doing any new thing that I want to do, and it's expected, you know, and that's great. If I try to dig a little bit deeper in one subject, then I get a lot of the, oh, now you're a prop channel, or like, wow, when are you going to do some woodworking again? Or
make a third channel for your prop stuff so I don't have to see it.
Exactly. And I totally get that. I mean,
just please me.
People like what they like. Please me. Yeah. One of 1.3 million people.
I've always wondered if YouTube would ever update their website where you could subscribe to playlists instead of channels.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh.
Like Pinterest.
Yeah. That's an interesting idea.
So speaking of YouTube, what were you going to say?
I was just saying, or maybe like some way to subscribe to tags or some other collection. But yeah, playlist is a good idea.
So speaking of breaking rules, do you make your videos based on what you know about algorithms and what YouTube will promote? And if you do, would you ever want to break those rules?
I don't make videos based on that stuff. I name videos in a way that I think is the best possible version of. Let me try to think of a good example. I can't think of a good example.
Putting keywords in the front of the title and things that are search friendly.
Well, but even more specifically. So you guys have probably both used Google Trends, or at least I know David has, but I don't know if anybody else has.
What is Google?
But here's a good Google Trend. What is Google? It's a no. There's this thing called Google Trends, and you can search for terms. And it shows you how many other people have searched for that term within Google. So the power in that comes where, like, okay, media console. I made this sliding door media console thing the other day. And when I was naming it, I was like, is this a media center? Is it a media console? Is it a console table? You know, like, I don't know exactly what it is. It's a weird combination. So I went to Google Trends, and I searched for media console. Separately, console table. Separately, media console, whatever the other version of those, like 3 different versions. And you see over the past several years the search line and the quantities for each one of those things and how they relate. And just by looking at that graph, I'm like, well, obviously a lot more people are searching for media console than media center, because it's a different thing, right? To some people, it's a different thing. So I chose that as the name. So I don't make the project based on the algorithm, but I do name things in a way that I think are going to get them the most found. Does that answer what you asked? Yeah. Do you do that?
Well, I used to, but it's kind of... So a while back, I learned that the longer the videos are, the better, because the more watch time you provide for your viewers, the more YouTube is going to show you in the recommended videos and search results and all that. And so I started making my videos from like 5 minutes to 10 minutes. And I purposely made them longer at the beginning. And now I don't try to go for 10 minutes. I just try to go for what works. But the format that I have now almost makes my videos almost always at least 9, 10, 11, 12 minutes, because I do this thing, then we have a Patreon break, and then we talk about the project afterwards. And now that's just naturally, but I don't think about it. How can I make this video 10 minutes? But I used to, and now it's just natural.
Jimmy, is any of that stuff a consideration for you at all? Or do you just like, you edit to the video that you want and name it first thing that comes to mind and put it up? Because I kind of imagine that's what you do.
Pretty much. I edit to the best capabilities of the story that I'm trying to talk about. Like sometimes I'll put together an edit and it's 6 minutes long. And I'm like, that's it. I can't, if I make it any longer, it's just going to feels pushed. So it ends up being, sometimes it ends up being 4 minutes long. And I'm like, you know what? This is just a throwaway. This is it. This is all I got for this one. Can't stretch it out any further. So I make a 4 or 6 or 10 minute video. But, you know, if I land, sometimes I land at like 9 and change. I'll stretch it to 10 just to get it in there, you know. Sometimes I land at 15 minutes, you know, for my vlogs. There's sometimes 15, sometimes 17 minutes. And I'm like, you know what? Everybody hates these anyway. I don't care if anybody's watching. I'll make it 20 minutes long. Doesn't matter.
People love them. People love them.
No.
Put it all in slow motion so you're talking all slow just to get it to 20 minutes.
No, so
His normal videos are sped up. His vlogs are slowed down.
I'll jam in as much as the interesting content for that week. And sometimes I make these little, you know, the little montages, and I really like them. So I leave them if they're like 30. I try and keep my montages under 30 seconds, but sometimes they end up at 40. And I'm like, yeah, I like the rat picture. I'm going to leave it in there. And so, you know, I go through and start chipping away at the content, and wherever it comes to is wherever it comes to. And then I just look at it and I go, okay, what would this be called? It would be called a bullet channel letter sign. So, you know, I try and throw in 1 or 2 descriptive words to bring people to a conclusion. I really don't do clickbaity stuff just because that instantly pisses people off. And, you know, like the other day, Casey did this clickbaity thing, which was kind of annoying. He's like, "We got a goat," and you click through the video, and it should have been, "My wife rented a goat for a photo shoot," is what it should have been, but it was, "We got a goat," and so you think they own a goat. I'm like, hey, because right away Tayl's like, they got a goat. How are they going to deal with a goat in the city? And so we like go through the whole video till we get to the point where it's like, oh, we just have a goat for a photo shoot. We don't actually got a goat. You got it for a few minutes. So I try not to do that because it's like a little bit of like a switch.
Coming from the ad world and working for a really decent ad agency, I worked with some extremely amazing, talented copywriters. And headlines are everything. Headlines mean so much. A good headline will determine whether or not the user is going to read or watch that article or video. And the word clickbait gets thrown around so much. It almost bothers me, but when somebody uses the word clickbait, when it could just mean an enticing headline. You know?
Yeah, but I think it's come to mean a deceptive headline.
Right.
That, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
And like those don't work with me. Like, to a point to where I wouldn't want to get anywhere near doing anything like that. So, man, it all comes back to intention, though, right? It's like basically the same as what we were talking about with the finishing. My intention is to have... I know that making any one of my project videos, they're not going to go viral. They're not going to be huge hits. They're not going to reach everybody. I know that about every single one of them. And that's okay. My goal is to, in 5 years, have this huge catalog of evergreen videos. And when somebody wants to know how to make a fill in the blank, they'll think, oh, I wonder if Bob made one of those, because he makes tons of different stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. And like, oh, guitar case? Oh, I didn't tell you. I made a guitar case this week. It's coming out this week. If I need to know how to make a guitar case, maybe Bob made one. Go check it out. And so like in that case, clickbait titles or deceptive titles or however you want to frame it, it doesn't help me in that goal of long-term library of evergreen stuff, because then somebody would say, like, they'd be looking through my videos and be like, we got a goat? Bob got a goat? That's not a guitar case. I don't care about that. So they would move on, right? So, but you know, it's about attention. I guess if you're trying to drive immediate views or long-term views or the type of attention that you want your videos to have or your articles to have or whatever. But intention
is one of my favorite words, and it's a word that gets thrown around our house quite a bit, and it really kind of defines like who you are. It's like, what are your intentions? Do you have whenever we question this is outside of YouTube stuff, but whenever we question what we're doing, we're always asking ourselves, like, what is the intention? And then we use that answer to either move forward or not do the thing that we were discussing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good way to vet like your decisions for sure. Cool. You guys got anything else? I mean, we kind of went off the topic of that, but
It was fun.
Anything else?
What was the original question? Because I think I had something to add because I never answered it.
It was, what rules do you wish you could break when it comes to making? What new things do you want to try that you can't do to outside factors or expectations?
I guess if the one you had to renew my memory on that one. I like interviewing people, but those, some of my vlog videos where the meme is a picture of me and say a person that I interviewed, those are always the lowest rated ones. They always look at that and go, "Oh, I don't care what that guy has to say." But if I interview somebody in the vlog and then the meme is a big giant machine, it always gets a lot of views. So I have to really, if you look back at my other 45 vlogs I did, any vlog image, there's a person, like especially the one with my mother is like the lowest rated one, and it's a picture. There's one with Mr. Pete. There's an image of Ben. There's an image of a couple of people. Those are all like struggling to break 100,000 views. So if I could have my druthers, I would like to be able to be more successful at interviewing and just talking to people and getting to know other makers and sharing other people with my audience. But
have you thought about starting a podcast?
It's a good idea. How would I do that? I need two guys that know how to do it.
I don't know.
It's complicated.
We'd have to look it up on Google. You know what Google is, right?
That's what you get between your toes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
You don't change your socks.
No, I mean, seriously though, that might be maybe if you want to do more interviews, maybe YouTube is not the right media for that.
Bob, are you trolling me? Trolling me right now?
I'm totally trolling you.
Go on.
No, seriously, because that's one thing that so when I did Brain Pick for a while, I tried to do it on YouTube, and it was a different thing than what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I found after doing 14 or 15 episodes or whatever, that video was just not the right format for that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It was audio.
Yeah, because it's the same. Nothing changes. It's just people can have it on in the background.
Yep.
I like the hit. I like the hit and quit interviews that I do, like the hit and quit style, where I'm just like, I'll interview somebody for like 5 minutes, try and get like 4 good gems out of them, and be like, cool. This way, they're not like too like, I don't know what else to say. I don't know how to talk about them. So I just get them spontaneous. I try to, and those are the funnest ones for me. A couple of people even suggested in the comments, "Oh, you should try and." I'll never do this. This will never happen. But try and sell this concept to Travel Channel, where you bounce around and interview like 4 makers per half hour. And I would love to do that. I mean, it's kind of what I do with my vlog. I have 2 really good interviews coming up with guys that make musical instruments this week, and that I met here in my neighborhood, my new neighborhood upstate. And crazy talented technical guys. We just met at the cafe, and one guy knew my YouTube channel. The other guy had no idea who I was. And I started chatting with them, and I gave my business card. I'm like, if we got the time later, we'll hook up. And they both showed up at my shop with their musical instruments that they make. And they showed me detailed. We did really cool. I'm going to get like 2 good 5-minute interviews out of each one of those guys. And amazing technical talk that we had. Really cool. Just bumped into 2 guys at a cafe, and all of a sudden we knew all the same YouTubers. We watch the same guys, and these guys just create beautiful instruments. I got stumbled there. They make beautiful instruments, and it's something I could never make, but we spoke the same maker language, which was great.
Yeah, that is cool.
So anyway, that's what I would do more of if I could.
Yeah, I would like to see that. I would like to see more interviews out of you.
Thank you.
Let's do one more question. This will maybe be fast. This is from Pinky478. I don't know. Do you know how you want to film a project before or during the process? That is, do you edit them, then film, or film, then edit?
I think we all have enough experience now that we'll jump into a project and we'll know what's visually interesting. We'll know like where it's important to shoot a high shot. We'll know where it's important to shoot a detailed shot. I try and keep a rhythm of like go close, get far away, go close, get far away, go close, get far away. Just to have choices later on. I might not use all of one of the shots or all of the other shots, but just to have a choice. So I think you just want good coverage no matter what it is. If it's something like, clearing the land, you want drone shots. If it's a video that is boring, you want to end it with a drone shot so people go, wow, it looks amazing. But in your mind, you just did a kind of a half-assed build, and you're like, if I do a drone shot of this, that'll really bolster the image of this whole thing. So it all depends. We all have our tricks that we pull out when we need them.
Yeah, I think I edit in camera a lot.
Totally.
And one thing I realized that it makes it a lot easier in the actual editing process if you can edit in camera, and you can think through. So I have an editor, and so I try to think about what he's going to be cutting together, and so that he doesn't have to jostle clips around in the order of things. I try to think through, well, if I'm going to do, if I'm changing angles on the piece of furniture that I'm working on, if I'm going from one side to the other, then I need to have some sort of intermediate shot there to show the viewer where I'm going, so they understand where they are. It's like all of a sudden they're just like looking at something completely different. And so by just shooting one extra in-between shot, or me walking around the thing, or some little piece like that, it makes the edit a lot easier for the editor to get through.
Yeah. So it's really important, too, that you try, especially if you're going to hand it to somebody. I like to try and shoot in sequence. So I put all those little bits in pieces. Even for me, like especially when I shoot one of those longer-term projects, and I know I'm not going to really look at the media for like another 3 weeks, I shoot it so that the future me will know how to put it together more simply. And I'll say, you know what, this isn't going to be put together for months. So let me make sure that I shoot it, everything I need in order, so that when I drag it all in the timeline, I could literally select all, drag it in the timeline, speed it up, and then literally go through it and then chop out the beginning and ends where like I either come in and out of camera, or, I pick up a piece of material, then I'll always frame it. Then I come in and I take the piece of material out, and then I throw it back in. And that empty frame is where I cut my edit. So I'll go in, and sometimes I forget to do that. So if you watch my videos, you'll find little snippets where the piece of material is there, I pick it up and put it back down. I'm supposed to edit out the moment where I pick it up and go off camera. But sometimes I forget, and then I'm looking at YouTube and I'm like, I'm supposed to cut out that one frame. But yeah.
I've noticed lately, I'm doing this renovation series around the house, so I'm trying to change the style of the videos a little bit just for those. And it's a lot more of me talking to the camera and explaining what I'm going to do, and then it's maybe less verbose in me doing it. It's not every single thing. It's more overview style. But I found myself talking to the camera a lot more and leaving direction about what's about to happen to my editor in the footage. So like I'll say something, and then at the end of it be like, okay, now I'm going to go shoot B-roll of all these things, take that B-roll and drop it over what I just said. And then I cut off the camera. So it's kind of interesting. Now I'm trying to figure out how to do, whereas before the editor was in the other room and I could walk over and say like, here's what I want you to do with, these weird clips that don't make any sense. Now I've got to figure out a way to do that at a distance. So leaving him and myself, those kind of voice notes within the footage itself, I think is turning out to be a handy way to do it. But.
Yeah, we the way we shoot and edit, I do all the editing, but it's progressing, and we've learned a couple tricks recently to help out with things. My goal is to have no more than 1 hour of footage per project. When I throw all my clips into the timeline and I see 40 minutes, I'm like, that's a win, because this one's going to be really easy for me to edit. And we're learning, we're trying some new things. Two of the things we've been doing recently is and this helps shoot less footage, and it helps speed up the editing process and allows music to come in and out of my edits, where I will say, this is the next 3 things that I'm going to do. And then I don't have to talk for 3 steps. I can just show table saw, bandsaw, sanding, boom. And that gives it allows these little ups and downs in the video where I talk, and then the music comes in, and then you get to see some footage. And then another thing we've been doing is playing with transition tricks between one thing to another, and that seems it's really fun, and we get to be creative in another way. And so it's progressing. It's always progressing. We're always trying to shoot as little footage as possible to make editing easier down the road.
Yeah. That's interesting that you say that about talking about the next three things. That's kind of what I'm doing with this, like talking more to the camera. I'm trying to follow that same type of thing. And it cuts down on voiceover. I know you don't do voiceover anymore. I'm trying to figure out how to do less of it because it's just another, hour, 2 hour thing after the edit and the color and everything else is done. So I'm trying to get rid of that as much as I can.
Yeah. But something else we've been trying to do now is pull some things we learned from the movie industry, where you might have like an establishing shot and then a medium and then a close-up. So if I have 3 cuts to make on the bandsaw, you're going to see the full body, and then you actually get to see the tool, the whole tool, what it looks like. And if you're new to woodworking and you're just watching for the entertainment, you can finally see what this tool looks like, whereas most people are showing the detail of the cut. So
that's smart.
Yeah, we've been trying to do that a lot more, and you're going to see if there's multiple cuts on a tool, it's going to be further away, and then we're going to move closer with each new cut.
Smart.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yep.
Totally going to steal that.
Please do. I mean, it's not the movie industry made this up, not me. I'm just pulling from that.
I always make sure to try and grab an establishing shot. I don't always use it, but I grab it just to show like what's going on in a wide. Yeah. The biggest amateur mistake everybody does is they let the camera roll. They just let it roll. Don't do that. Because you end up with
move the camera around.
99% of what you're shooting, of you doing something, is pointless. And then you see some amateur guys. It's serious. I mean, because it's you picking up material on your table and you just keep moving it around. I want to see what your eyes see. I don't want to see what That's the kind of shot you show for 2 seconds to be like, okay, there's a guy standing in his workshop. Now I want to see what your eyes are seeing. And so, like, if you're going to ask yourself, if you're an amateur, you're starting. As the viewer, I want to see what you're looking at. I want to see your point of view, or at least your point of view once removed. Maybe the camera's next to you, but seeing exactly what you're seeing.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. You guys got anything else on that?
Nope.
Nope. Well, let's move on to what we've been watching.
All right. I had a hard time picking one out because it's been a crazy week, so I haven't been watching much. But there's this band on YouTube that I think people should check out. It's fun, it's quirky, it's funky. The music is fun. The videos are super, super fun. The band's called Savoy Motel. I'm not sure exactly how to say it, but they're a Nashville, Tennessee band, and I will have a link to them in the show notes.
What you got, Jimmy?
I don't know yet.
Uh-oh.
I'm looking.
I was trying to get you to go because I wasn't ready yet either.
All right, give us 1 second. Give us a second.
We'll have to. So last week I put out a video that was a collaboration with Mark Rober.
Yep.
And I made part of his project for him, and he made the world's largest super soaker.
Yep.
So I made the frame for it and to hold all the guts, and then he had a local prop maker out there actually make it look like a super soaker, and it's turned out super cool. But his video is great. Like he's really good at putting together that type of video and getting a lot of information into it, but pacing it really well and making it, eye catchy, and he's just really good. He's a cool guy too.
I think what he's really good at, and some other people along those lines, is they are so enthusiastic about what they're doing. It feels like they just can't wait to show you this thing that they made. And whenever I see that, I also cannot wait to see this thing that they're going to make. So if we go back into video tricks, be very enthusiastic, be excited about what you're doing, because the viewers pick up on that.
I know that's been a big thing for me. Just as I've done more videos, I get more comfortable in front of the camera, and I know that I have to, not in a fake way, but in a camera way, amp up the tone that I say things in. I'm doing it right now on the podcast. I know that I have to enunciate more. I have to lift my levels a little bit, because that's more engaging than if I were sitting at the table with a person just like talking to them. It's a different voice. It's a different expression. So I've learned that, and when people go back and watch my old videos, they're like, man, why were you so depressed back then? I'm not depressed. That's just like me being uncomfortable in front of the camera. So you're totally right.
Okay, I got somebody. I'm going to try and say it before the dog goes crazy. Sculpture Geek. and it's somebody with about 150,000 subscribers, and they have a couple of really highly viewed videos. And it is, and now I don't know if it's a bunch of people. This channel is dedicated to the celebration of traditional sculpture. So you could watch somebody manipulate clay. And somebody sent me a video. One of my friends sent me a video from this channel this week, and I subscribed right away. So Sculpture Geek, they have some incredible, talented sculptors. I don't know enough. I've only watched about 3 videos. I don't know if it's all the same person, because there's extremely close-ups of somebody sculpting all types of imagery, all in clay, mostly in clay. It's like some fantasy stuff, some humanish looking stuff, some cartoons, and humanish. Oh, and the last one is a Spockish. No, it's actually Spock. It looks really, really well done. Yeah,
cool.
And I'm looking now. They don't have that many videos. Maybe 20 videos. That's it.
Huh. Awesome. I'll check it out. Ooh, wow. Good grief.
Are you looking at it?
Yeah, I'm looking at the thumbnails.
Yeah, they're crazy,
wow.
Right? Sculpture.
That's
Geek.
unbelievable. Huh.
Cool.
Yeah, go check that out for sure. Cool. Well, you guys got anything else?
That's it.
For this week?
My house guest just pulled in and the dogs are going bonkers.
Cool. Well, that's it for this week. If you want to hear the after show, go support us on Patreon.
Yeah.
If you don't, then don't. So that's it. Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Love you.
Kelly, I love you. I'm sorry about what I said earlier.
Taylor, I'm wearing my shoes in the house. I don't care what you think. I'm wearing them right now.